Inscriptions and Economic History 2. The canals and the field boundaries and various land territories are mentioned in the inscriptions. Some of the inscriptions mention about the sluice technology and the time during which irrigation has to be allotted for a specific field. Numerous inscriptions are found across India on the irrigation activities. The inscriptions of South India mention about the sluices constructed across the tanks. An inscription from Nangavaram, Tiruchirappalli district refers to the repair of the tank and the use of boats for desilting the tank. Another inscription assignable to the 10th to 11th centuries found at Nangavaram Sundararaja Perumal temple near Tiruchirappalli mentions in great detail about the tank maintenance activities. Trade and commercial activities are extensively recorded in the inscriptions. The mercantile community became very specialized in the medieval period, and these communities had their own settlements called Naharams. Donations were also made in gold to the temples, and the gold was invested with the Nagaram as an endowment, and the interest from the same was used for paying the temple as ghee, and instead of grains, sometimes gold was also used as tax or yield from the lands. The activities of the Srenis who received cash deposits and interest for supplying various provisions for religious worship are recorded in the inscriptions. Inscriptions are valuable source to understand the trade and commercial activities. The merchant related inscriptions are a special class of inscriptions issued by the merchant guilds. They mention about the various deeds of the merchant guilds and the transactions. The merchant guild inscriptions are not only found in the interior region of India, a few inscriptions are also found in the far off regions. The copperplate inscription offering the rights to have exclusive settlement was offered to the non-local merchants. Evidence of Islamic, Jewish and Christian and probably Parsi merchants is also found in the inscriptions and copper plates of the coastal regions of India. The Terisapali inscription of Stanuravi dated in 849 is important in the sense that it mentions about the donation of land to the institution called Terisapali, and it mentions about the rights and privileges offered to Maruvan Sapir. The Abhaya Sasana issued by the Kakatiya king Ganapati Deva 1190 to 1252 CE to support the merchants in order to promote foreign trade is found at Muttupalli in Andhra Pradesh. Each Chora temple had a treasury. It served the purpose of a bank. The long endowments in the form of land, gold and money bestowed on temple by the various donors of the Chora society made the temple a richest institution. Inscriptions mentioning the donation of perpetual lamps gives us an immense source of information about the temple-centered employment generation. Particularly, many donors from the royal family to the individuals donated in gold and money to the temples. It is due to the availability of enormous amount of money. The Chora temples delivered an economic function as a banker, which had really helped the agrarian society and business class at the time. Inscriptions and religious history. Epigraphy provides a solid geographical and chronological groundwork for the historical study of the religious conditions of ancient and medieval India. D.C. Sirkar's Studies in the Religious Life of Ancient and Medieval India provides a fundamental source of information for the many aspects of religion, the growth and expansion of different cults and sects in different parts of the country at different periods of time. Temples and religions formed an important aspect of the cultural history of ancient India. Temples had multiple roles in the ancient society, and they were interacting in the political, social, economic and cultural realms. The earliest inscriptions are associated with the stupas or Buddhist places of worship. The temples and stupas were public institutions, and they have records related to the public sphere. People diligently recorded the donations made to the temples. The construction of the stupas and temples were undertaken by the royal establishment. The development of stupas and temples and religious places of worship can be understood through the inscriptions. The Heliodorus pillar inscription can be cited as a specimen related to religious sphere of ancient India. Heliodorus was sent to the court of King Mahabharata by Antiochus, the Greek king of Taxila. The king of Taxila was part of the Bactrian region in northwest India, conquered by Alexander the Great in 325 BC. This pillar inscription mentions that this Garuda column of Vasudeva Vishnu, the god of gods, was erected here by Heliodorus, a worshipper of Vishnu, the son of Dion, and an inhabitant of Taxila, who came as Greek ambassador from the great king Amtalikitha Antiochus to King Kasiputra Mahabharata the savior, then reigning prosperously in the 14th year of his kingship. Inscriptions also reveal patterns of royal patronage to different sects and religions, thus providing framework for the historical developments. The typical pattern is one of multiple patronage, wherein the same ruler may sponsor both Brahminical and Buddhist institutions. It is also common to find different rulers of the same dynasty lending their support to different establishments according to the personal preferences. For example, Emperor Harsha is described in his inscriptions as the descendant of the devotees of the sun god Paramaditya Bhakta, but was himself a Saivite, Parama Mageshwara, and is known from the writings of Huzan Sung to have patronized Buddhism as well. While epigraphy has little to offer for the historical study of the Vedic age itself, it nonetheless does provide useful information about the preservation and continuation of the Vedic tradition in the classical and post-classical periods. Copperplate grants with their extensive list of Brahmanas and their Veda and Shaka affiliations provide an important source for the history, especially for the geographical affiliations of the various Vedic schools. Numerous historical records of the performance of Vedic sacrifices, especially the Ashwamedha, are preserved in inscription from about 2nd century BCE. The Hatibada Goshundi inscriptions, 2nd century BCE, and the Ayodhya inscription of Dhanadeva provides us with interesting information about Vaishnava cults, temples, and Ashwamedha sacrifices. The above inscription confirms the popularity of Hindu deities Samkar, Shana, and Vasudeva, also known as Balarama and Krishna, and existence of stone temple dedicated to them in 2nd to 1st century BCE, the puja tradition, and a king who had completed the Vedic Ashwamedha sacrifice. It also confirms the association of the two deities Samkarshana and Vasudeva with Narayana Vishnu, possibly a step in the full incorporation into the Vaishnavite pantheon as avatars of Vishnu. The Ayodhya inscription of Dhanadeva, who ruled from the city of Ayodhya, Koshala. His name is found in ancient coins and the inscription. He was among the 15 kings who ruled from Ayodhya between 130 BCE and 158 CE, and whose coins have been found. The damaged inscription is notable for its mention of General Pushyamitra and his descendant Dhana, his use of Vedic Ashwamedha horse to assert the range of his empire, and the building of a temple shrine. The Jagatpur inscription of King Silavarman is engraved on the bricks, speaks about the 4th Ashwamedha sacrifice performed by the king Chaturdashya Ashwamedhasya Chaitoyam Silavarmana. Temples have acted as premier institution of culture during the medieval period. Apart from serving the spiritual needs of the population, they have fulfilled many roles. The temples and the temple-based rituals created a congenial cultural landscape from the activities of the Brahmins, kings, and merchants. They, in a way, helped royal schemes and polity. Some of the temples were part of royal initiative and the kings were symbolically equated with God. And the temples bore the titles or names of the kings. The temples acted as agencies that supported the art related activities. Paintings, sculptures, icons in the temples, temple maintenance, and the temple construction supported several people economically. They acted as consumers of several goods, including the prestige goods, and indirectly boosted the trade and economy. The donations made to the temple in the form of gold, coins, and animals went to the merchants and shepherds. Some of the art forms, especially music and dance, developed around the temple. They too offered openings for some of the women to become religion oriented and to attain individual freedom to get rid of social compulsions. Several medieval inscriptions provide detailed genealogies of Saiva teachers. The high degree of political influence attained by Saivite acharyas in some other dynasties is attested by inscription in which the ruling king appears to have actually ceded his authority to the Rajaguru. These belong to the Kapalika and Kalamukha sects.